They say an alpha king doesn't chase. He commands. He conquers. He claims. But what happens when the one thing he's spent years pretending not to want vanishes? Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to your new obsession. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Drop a comment below and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I love connecting with you all. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to see how this story ends. Now settle in, grab your favorite drink, and let's dive into a tale of power, secrets, and a love that was never supposed to exist. The fire in the hearth had died 3 hours ago. Alpha King Liam stood at the window of his private chambers, arms crossed over his broad chest, jaw clenched so tight it ached. Beyond the frosted glass, dawn bled across the horizon in shades of crimson and gold, a bleeding sky that matched the fury simmering just beneath his skin. She hadn't come. For 6 years, every morning before the sun touched the mountains, she had been there. Silent. Efficient. A ghost in human skin who moved through his chambers like smoke, lighting fires, laying out his clothes, disappearing before he could so much as look her in the eye. He had never asked her name. He had never needed to, because from the moment she had arrived at the palace gates, barefoot and hollow-eyed, he had known. The bond had sung to him like a blade dragging across his ribs, sharp, undeniable, impossible. But he was an Alpha King. He didn't bow to fate. He didn't submit to the whims of the moon goddess or the pull of a mating bond that made no sense. She was human. Weak. Breakable. Irrelevant. Or so he told himself every single morning when she knelt by his hearth and he forced himself not to breathe in the scent of lavender and rain that clung to her skin. But now she was gone. And the bond, the one he had buried, ignored, suffocated beneath duty and denial, roared to life like a beast clawing its way out of a cage. Your Majesty. Liam didn't turn. His beta, Dane, stood in the doorway, tension rolling off him in waves. She's been reported missing, Dane said carefully. The head housekeeper says she didn't return to the servants' quarters last night. And? Liam's voice was ice. And the council believes she ran. Dane hesitated. They're saying it's for the best. A human servant has no place in the Alpha King's household. Especially one who what? Liam turned slowly, and Dane took an involuntary step back. The Alpha King was not a man to be trifled with. At 6'4", with shoulders that could carry the weight of an entire kingdom, Liam was built for war. His dark hair was always tied back, his jaw perpetually shadowed with stubble, and his eyes, wolf-gold and merciless, could strip a man's courage with a single glance. But it wasn't his size that made grown wolves tremble. It was the cold. The absolute, unyielding frost that seemed to live in his veins. They called him the Winter King. The Alpha without mercy. The ruler who had never smiled, never loved, never shown a shred of softness since the day he took the throne at 21. And they were right. Until her. Speak, Liam commanded. Dane swallowed. There are rumors. About the way you look at her. Silence. Then, low and lethal, I don't look at her. With respect, Your Majesty, everyone's noticed. The council thinks. The council, Liam interrupted, his voice dropping to a growl that vibrated through the room, does not think. They obey. And right now, they will mobilize every tracker we have and find her. My king, if she ran. She didn't run. The certainty in his voice made Dane freeze. Because Liam felt it. The bond, frayed and faint, pulling him north. Not broken. Not severed. But fading. She was alive. But she was slipping away. Get out, Liam said quietly. Dane hesitated only a second before bowing and retreating. The moment the door closed, Liam's control shattered. He slammed his fist into the stone wall, cracks spider-webbing out from the impact. His wolf surged forward, furious and desperate, howling for the mate they had denied for too long. Find her. Claim her. Protect her. But he couldn't. because acknowledging the bond meant acknowledging weakness. It meant giving his enemies a target. It meant admitting that the untouchable Alpha King had a vulnerability that could bring his entire reign crashing down. So he had kept her at arm's length. Never spoke to her. Never touched her. Never let her see the way his hands clenched every time she walked into a room, the way his wolf whined when her scent faded, the way he lay awake at night listening for her footsteps in the hall. He had convinced himself it was control, but it was cowardice. And now she was gone. Liam moved his desk, shoving aside council reports and territorial maps until he found it, a single wool glove, small and threadbare, left behind on his mantle 3 weeks ago. She had been reaching for the candlestick when it slipped from her hand. He had picked it up the moment she left. And he had kept it. Pathetic. He pressed the glove to his face, breathing in the faint trace of her scent, and his wolf howled. She's hurt. She's scared. She's calling for us. I'm coming, he whispered into the empty room. Then he grabbed his cloak, bypassed the main halls, and shifted the moment he hit the forest. The snow was fresh, but her scent was there, faint, overlaid with fear and something else. Blood. Liam's massive black wolf tore through the woods, faster than thought, following the trail that led beyond pack borders into the unclaimed lands. The places where rogues roamed, where wolves went to disappear, or to hunt. His paws barely touched the ground as he ran, his mind racing. Why would she leave? Why would she go north? Unless she didn't leave. Unless she was taken. The thought made his vision go red. 3 miles out, he found the first sign. Burned wood. Collapsed structures. The skeletal remains of a village, blackened and abandoned. And blood. So much blood. Liam shifted back into his human form, standing naked in the snow, his breath misting in the frozen air. This wasn't a random attack. This was a massacre. He moved through the ruins, every instinct screaming, until he saw them. Silver chains. Broken. Discarded. And stained with her scent. His heart stopped. Silver was used for one thing only, containing wolves. But she was human, wasn't she? A sound, faint, broken, cut through the silence. A whimper. Liam's head snapped toward the collapsed barn at the edge of the village, and he moved. Inside, the air was thick with the stench of rot and silver poisoning. And there, chained to a post in the center of the room, was her. His maid. His mate. Her clothes were torn, her dark hair matted with blood, her skin pale as death. Silver cuffs bit into her wrists, and her head hung forward, unconscious. But she was breathing. Barely. Liam crossed the space in 3 strides, falling to his knees before her. Look at me, he commanded, his voice raw. Her eyes fluttered open, gray as storm clouds, glassy with pain, and for the first time in 6 years, she looked directly at him. And whispered, "You shouldn't have come." Then her head fell forward, and the bond between them exploded into life. Not as a whisper, but as a roar. Because she wasn't human. She never had been. What is she really? And who did this to her? Drop a comment with your theories below. I need to know what you think is coming. The silver burned his hands the moment he touched it. Liam didn't care. He ripped the chains apart with his bare hands, the metal searing his palms, smoke rising from his skin as his wolf howled in rage. The cuffs clattered to the ground, and she collapsed forward into his arms. She weighed nothing. How had he never noticed how fragile she was? How breakable? "Stay with me," he commanded, his voice rough as he cradled her against his chest. Her head lolled against his shoulder, and up close, this close, he could finally see her. Really see her. She was beautiful in a way that made his chest ache. Delicate features that seemed carved from moonlight, dark lashes that fanned across bruised cheeks, lips cracked and pale. But it was her scent that undid him. Lavender and rain. And beneath it, something else. Something wild. Wolf. His wolf recognized her instantly, surging forward with a possessive snarl that vibrated through his entire body. Mate. Ours. Protect. But how? How had she hidden it? How had she walked through a palace full of wolves, past guards, past council members, past him, without anyone sensing what she was? Unless... His eyes dropped to her wrists, where the silver had burned away layers of skin. And there, barely visible beneath the blood and ash, were marks. Runes. Ancient. Deliberate. Suppression marks. Someone had sealed her wolf. "Who did this to you?" he whispered against her hair. She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Liam stood, lifting her effortlessly, and turned to leave. And froze. 3 wolves stood in the doorway. Rogues, by the scarred, malnourished look of them. Their eyes gleamed yellow in the darkness, lips curled back to reveal teeth stained with old blood. Well, the largest one drawled, shifting into his human form. He was tall, wiry, with a face that might have been handsome once before violence carved it into something cruel. The Alpha King himself. "We were hoping you'd come." Liam's voice was death. "Move." The rogue laughed. "Or what? You'll kill us?" "You're holding damaged goods, Your Majesty." "Damaged, stolen goods. We paid good money for her." "You bought her." The words came out as a growl. "From her own village." The rogue grinned, showing too many teeth. "Turns out, humans don't take kindly to wolves hiding among them. Especially not wolves whose very existence breaks every law your precious council ever made." Liam's blood turned to ice. "What are you talking about? You really don't know?" The rogue's grin widened. "She's not just a wolf, Alpha King. She's an Omega. A true Omega. The firstborn in 3 generations." The world tilted. Omega. The rarest classification. The weakest and the most powerful all at once. Omegas could calm entire packs, could heal with their presence, could bond with any wolf they chose. And they were hunted to extinction 100 years ago. Because an Omega could tip the balance of power between kingdoms. An Omega bonded to an Alpha King could make him unstoppable. Or destroy him entirely. "The council will execute her the moment they find out," the rogue continued. "You know the law. No Omegas. No exceptions. So why don't you put her down and save yourself the trouble?" Liam's eyes flashed gold. "I'm going to give you one chance," he said softly. "Leave. Now. And I'll let you live." The rogue laughed again. "You think we're afraid of you? You're alone, unarmed, and holding a liability. We're taking her back. She's worth a fortune to the right buyer." "Wrong answer." Liam laid her down gently, carefully, against the wall. Then he shifted. The fight lasted 30 seconds. Liam's wolf was massive, black as midnight, eyes burning gold, and he moved like death itself. The first rogue didn't even have time to scream before Liam's jaws closed around his throat. The second tried to run. Liam caught him in 3 strides, claws tearing through flesh and bone. The third, the one who had spoken, shifted and lunged. Liam met him midair, and they crashed into the ground in a tangle of fur and fury. The rogue was fast. Desperate. But Liam was an Alpha King. And she was his. He ended it with a single bite, crushing the rogue's spine, and let the body drop. Silence. Liam shifted back, breathing hard, blood dripping from his hands. Then he turned back to her. She was awake. Barely. Her storm-gray eyes were open, fixed on him, wide with something between fear and awe. "You killed them," she whispered. "I'd kill 1,000 more." His voice was raw. "Who are you?" She flinched. "No one. Don't lie to me." He crossed to her, kneeling down, and for the first time in 6 years, he let himself look at her. Let himself see the truth he'd been running from. "You're not human. You never were. And you're not no one. You're Maid," she interrupted, her voice shaking. "That's all I've ever been. That's all I can ever be." "Why?" "Because if I'm anything else, I die." Her eyes filled with tears. "The council will execute me. The pack will tear me apart. And you," her voice broke. "You'll have to choose between me and your throne." "I choose you." The words were out before he could stop them. Her breath hitched. You don't mean that. I've spent 6 years pretending you don't exist, Liam said quietly. 6 years ignoring the bond. 6 years convincing myself I didn't need you. And I was a coward. But I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not ever. You don't understand. Then make me understand. He reached out slowly, carefully, and wiped the blood from her cheek. She trembled under his touch. Tell me the truth. All of it. For a long moment, she just stared at him. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she spoke. Her name was Ella. She was 23 years old. And she had been running her entire life. I was born in a human village on the edge of Packlands, she said, her voice hollow. My mother was human. My father. I never knew him. But when I was 5, I shifted for the first time. In front of everyone. Liam's jaw tightened. They tried to kill me, she continued. My own neighbors. The people who'd watched me grow up. They locked me in a cellar and called for the nearest pack to come take me away. But my mother, her voice cracked. She made a deal with a witch. A blood bargain. The witch sealed my wolf, bound it so deep I couldn't shift, couldn't be sensed, couldn't be anything but human. In exchange, my mother gave her life. Ella, I've been hiding ever since, she whispered. Moving from place to place. Never staying long enough for anyone to notice. And then I came to your palace. I thought if I kept my head down, if I stayed invisible, I'd finally be safe. You're safe, Liam said fiercely. She laughed, a broken, bitter sound. I'm the thing your council fears most. An Omega. A wolf who shouldn't exist. And now that the seal is breaking, she held up her trembling hands, and Liam saw it, faint silver light glowing beneath her skin. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to control it. And when it fully breaks, everyone will know what I am. Then we'll deal with it. How? Her eyes met his, desperate. How do you deal with a prophecy, Liam? His name on her lips sent a jolt through him. What prophecy? He asked carefully. The one your council buried 100 years ago. She swallowed hard. The Alpha King will fall in love with the woman destined to destroy his throne. Silence. Liam stared at her, his mind racing. He'd heard whispers of it. Old stories. Legends dismissed as superstition. But if it was real... I'm not afraid of prophecies, he said finally. You should be. Ella's voice was barely audible. Because I'm not just going to destroy your throne, Liam. I'm going to burn everything you've built to the ground. Then we'll burn together. And before she could protest, before she could pull away, he cupped her face in his hands and pressed his forehead to hers. The bond flared between them, white-hot, undeniable, and for the first time in 6 years, he let it in. Mine, mate. Forever. I'm not letting you go, he whispered. Do you understand me? I don't care about the council. I don't care about the throne. I don't care about prophecies. You're mine, Ella. And I protect what's mine. A tear slipped down her cheek. You're going to regret this, she whispered. Never. But some promises are easier to make than keep. They made it back to the palace before dawn. Liam carried Ella the entire way, first as his wolf, her frail body draped across his back, then in his human form when they reached the outer gates. He wrapped her in his cloak, shielding her from the bitter wind and the eyes of the guards who straightened at their approach. Your Majesty, one of them began. Not a word, Liam cut him off, his tone brooking no argument. To anyone. Am I understood? The guard's eyes flickered to the woman in the Alpha King's arms, then back. Yes, Your Majesty. Liam moved past them without another glance, his mind already 3 steps ahead. He couldn't take her to the servants' quarters, too many eyes, too many questions. The council chambers would be suicide. His public quarters were out of the question. That left only one place. His private wing. The place no one entered without explicit permission. Not even Dane. He kicked open the door to his chambers and laid Ella on his bed, something feral and possessive coiling in his chest at the sight of her there, small and broken against his dark sheets. She was unconscious again, her breathing shallow, the silver burns on her wrists still angry and raw. He needed a healer. But calling the pack healer meant questions. It meant witnesses. It meant the council would know within the hour. Damn it. Liam paced the length of the room, his wolf snarling beneath his skin, torn between the need to protect and the need to act. Every instinct screamed at him to lock the doors, to guard her, to never let anyone close enough to hurt her again. But she was dying. The silver poisoning was spreading, dark veins creeping up her arms, and the suppression marks, whatever magic had sealed her wolf, were unraveling. He could see it now, the faint shimmer beneath her skin, like lightning trapped in a bottle. If her wolf broke free in her current state, it would kill her. A soft knock at the door made him freeze. "My king." Dane's voice cautious. "May I enter?" Liam's eyes flashed gold. "No." A pause. "Your Majesty, the council is convening. They're demanding to know where you went. And why you left without your guard. Tell them I had personal business." "They won't accept that." "Then tell them I don't care." Silence. Then, carefully, "Is she alive?" Liam's jaw clenched. Of course Dane knew. His beta could probably smell her from the hallway. "Yes." "And is she what they said she was?" "That's none of the council's concern." "Liam." Dane's voice dropped, using his name instead of his title, something he only did in private. "If she's an Omega, they'll execute her. You know the law. No exceptions. Not even for you." "Then the law is wrong." A long, heavy silence. "You're going to start a war over this," Dane said finally. "I know. They'll see it as treason. Harboring a forbidden wolf. They'll call for your head alongside hers." "Let them try." Another pause. Then, quieter. "Does she mean that much to you?" Liam's eyes cut to Ella's still form on the bed, and something in his chest cracked open. "She's my mate, Dane." He heard his beta's sharp inhale. "Moon's mercy," Dane breathed. "How long have you known?" 6 years. "And you never said anything?" "What was I supposed to say?" Liam's voice was raw. "That the Alpha King is bonded to a woman he thought was human? That every day she walked into my chambers, I had to fight not to claim her? That I spent 6 years lying to myself, to the pack, to her, because I was too much of a coward to admit the truth? You were protecting her. I was protecting myself." Liam turned away from the door. "But that ends now. I need a healer. Someone we can trust. Someone who won't run to the council the second they see what she is." A beat. "Then, there's someone. An Omega healer who survived the purge. She's been living in exile on the western border. If anyone can help your mate, it's her. Send for her. Immediately." And Dane, Liam's voice dropped to a growl. "If word of this reaches the council before I'm ready, I'll know who to blame." "Understood, my king." Footsteps retreated down the hall. Liam returned to the bed, sinking down beside Ella. Her face was peaceful in unconsciousness, younger somehow, vulnerable in a way that made his wolf whine. He took her hand carefully, mindful of the burns, and felt the bond hum between them. "Mate. Protect. Heal. Stay with me," he whispered. "Just stay." Her fingers twitched in his, and her eyes fluttered open. "Gray. Storm cloud gray." "Liam?" Her voice was barely audible. "I'm here." "Where?" "My chambers." "You're safe." She tried to sit up, panic flooding her features. No, I can't be here. If anyone finds out, they won't." He pressed a hand gently to her shoulder, easing her back down. "I won't let them." "You can't promise that." "Watch me." She stared at him, something raw and desperate in her eyes. "Why are you doing this? Why risk everything for someone like me?" "Because you're not someone like you," Liam said quietly. "You're my mate. And I should have claimed you the day you walked through those gates. I should have told the council to go to hell and made you mine in front of the entire pack. I should have. You would have been overthrown. Then I would have been overthrown." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "You think I care about a throne more than I care about you? You should." Tears gathered in her eyes. "The pack needs you. The kingdom needs you. I'm just everything." The word came out fierce. You're everything, Ella. And I'm done pretending you're not. A tear slipped down her cheek, and before he could think better of it, Liam leaned forward and caught it with his lips. She gasped. He pulled back, giving her space, but the damage was done. The bond flared white-hot between them, and he saw the exact moment she felt it too, the way her eyes widened, her breath hitched, her hand tightened around his. "Oh," she whispered. "Yeah, I thought you didn't want me." The words hit him like a physical blow. "Ella, you never looked at me, never spoke to me. 6 years, and you treated me like I was invisible. Like I was nothing. Because if I looked at you, I wouldn't have been able to stop." His voice was raw. "If I spoke to you, I would have told you the truth. And the truth would have gotten you killed. So you chose distance." "I chose wrong." He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her palm. "I chose wrong every single day. And I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry, Ella." She was crying in earnest now, silent tears streaming down her face. "I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I wasn't enough. You were always enough." He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You were always more than enough. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you. You can't. I can. I will." His forehead pressed to hers. "I know you're scared. I know you think this ends badly. But I swear to you, Ella, on my life, on my throne, on everything I am, I will not let anyone hurt you. Not the council. Not the pack. Not the entire damn world. You're mine. And I protect what's mine. Even if it costs you everything? Especially then." She stared at him for a long moment, and then slowly, carefully, she reached up and touched his face. It was the first time she'd ever touched him willingly. The bond sang. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "I don't know how to be your mate. I don't know how to be anything other than invisible. Then we'll figure it out together. And the prophecy? To hell with the prophecy." His voice was fierce. "We make our own fate, Ella. Starting now." She opened her mouth to respond, and screamed. Her entire body convulsed, back arching off the bed, and Liam barely caught her before she could hurt herself. Light blazed beneath her skin, silver and blinding, and the suppression marks on her wrists shattered like glass. "Ella." He held her tight, his wolf roaring in panic. "Ella, stay with me." But she wasn't there anymore. Her eyes had gone pure white, glowing with an otherworldly light, and when she spoke, it wasn't her voice. It was something ancient. Something vast. "The chains are breaking, Alpha King. And when they shatter completely, you will have to choose the woman you love or the kingdom you've sworn to protect. Choose wisely, because this time you cannot have both." Then she went limp in his arms, and the room plunged into darkness. What just happened? Drop your wildest theories below. I'm reading every comment. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. Liam didn't sleep. He couldn't. Ella lay unconscious in his bed, her breathing steady but shallow, the silver light beneath her skin pulsing like a second heartbeat. He'd stripped away the burned remnants of her clothing, replaced them with one of his shirts, soft linen that swallowed her small frame, and now he sat in a chair beside the bed, watching. Waiting. Every time her breath hitched, his wolf surged forward, ready to fight an enemy that didn't exist. Every time she whimpered in her sleep, his hands clenched until his knuckles went white. He was the Alpha King. He'd led armies, negotiated treaties, stared down challengers twice his size without flinching. But watching his mate suffer, helpless to stop it, was breaking him in ways he didn't know were possible. A soft knock interrupted his vigil. "Enter," he commanded, not taking his eyes off Ella. The door opened, and Dane stepped inside, followed by a woman Liam didn't recognize. She was older, maybe 60, with silver-streaked hair braided down her back and eyes that held the weight of lifetimes. She moved with the careful grace of someone who'd learned to make herself small, unthreatening. An Omega who'd survived by becoming invisible. Just like Ella. This is Mara, Dane said quietly. The healer I mentioned. Mara's eyes went immediately to the bed, and Liam saw the flash of recognition and fear cross her face. Moon goddess, she breathed. It's true. She's. Can you help her? Liam interrupted, his voice sharp. Mara approached slowly, her movements deliberate, and knelt beside the bed. She held her hand over Ella's chest, not quite touching, and closed her eyes. The air shimmered. Her suppression marks were shattered, Mara said finally, opening her eyes. Someone sealed her wolf using ancient magic, blood magic, from the feel of it. It's been holding for years, but the seal was always temporary. It was only meant to last until she reached maturity. And now? Liam's jaw was tight. Now her wolf is waking up. And it's not happy about being caged for 2 decades. Mara's expression was grim. The silver poisoning is complicating things. Silver suppresses wolf healing, which means her body can't adapt to the changes fast enough. If we don't do something soon, the transition will tear her apart from the inside. Tell me what you need. Time. Rest. And Mara hesitated. The bond. Liam's eyes narrowed. Explain. She's your mate, Alpha King. Your bond is the strongest anchor she is right now. If you complete it, if you mark her, it will stabilize her wolf. Give her something to hold on to during the transition. No, the word was immediate, absolute. Mara blinked. Your Majesty. She hasn't consented, Liam said flatly. I'm not forcing a bond on her while she's unconscious and vulnerable. Find another way. There may not be another way. Then we'll make one. He stood, towering over the healer. She's been powerless her entire life. I won't take away her choice now. Not even to save her. Dane cleared his throat. Liam, if she dies. She won't. The certainty in his voice was absolute. She's stronger than any of us give her credit for. She survived 23 years hiding what she is. She'll survive this. Mara watched him for a long moment, something like respect flickering in her eyes. You really do love her. More than my own life. Then stay close to her, Mara said softly. Talk to her. Let her feel the bond, even in unconsciousness. It won't complete the marking, but it will give her strength. I haven't left her side since I brought her back. Good. Don't. Mara pulled a small vial from her cloak, filled with shimmering green liquid. This will help with the silver poisoning. 3 drops on her tongue, every 6 hours. It tastes like death, but it works. Liam took the vial. Anything else? Yes. Mara's expression turned serious. The council will find out. If they haven't already, they will soon. And when they do, they'll come for her. You need to be ready. I am. Are you ready to fight your own people? Mara pressed. Because that's what this is going to come down to. The law is clear, no omegas. The council will invoke it. And half your pack will support them. Then half my pack will learn what happens when they threaten my mate. Dane winced. Liam, you can't just. I can. I will. Liam's voice was ice. I am the Alpha King. My word is law. And anyone who has a problem with that can challenge me directly. That's not how this works, Dane argued. The council has the authority to. The council, Liam interrupted, his eyes flashing gold, has the authority I give them. And I'm done letting them dictate who I can and cannot protect. Silence fell. Mara stood slowly. I'll return in 6 hours to check on her. In the meantime, keep her warm. Keep her calm. And Alpha King. She paused at the door. That prophecy everyone's so afraid of? Maybe it's not about destruction. Maybe it's about change. And maybe that's exactly what this kingdom needs. Then she was gone, Dane following behind her with one last worried glance. Liam returned to the chair, exhaustion pulling at him, but he didn't allow himself to rest. Instead, he took Ella's hand again, careful of the healing burns, and let the bond hum between them. I don't know if you can hear me, he said quietly, but I need you to fight, Ella. I need you to hold on. Because I just found you, and I'm not ready to let you go. Her fingers twitched in his. I know you think you're not strong enough. I know you think you're going to destroy everything I've built. But you're wrong. You're the strongest person I've ever met. And if this kingdom can't handle you, then it doesn't deserve either of us." A soft sigh escaped her lips. Liam leaned closer, bringing her hand to his chest, letting her feel his heartbeat. "When you wake up, we're going to do this right. I'm going to court you properly. Take you to the gardens. Let you see the waterfall on the western border. It's beautiful this time of year. I'm going to ask you about your life, your dreams, everything I should have asked 6 years ago." Her breathing evened out, the tension leaving her body. And then he continued, his voice dropping to a whisper, "When you're ready, only when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to be mine. Officially. Completely. And you can say yes or you can say no, and I'll respect whatever you choose. Because you deserve a choice, Ella. You've always deserved a choice." He pressed a kiss to her knuckles. "So fight. Please. Fight for us." 3 hours later, the council demanded an audience. Liam ignored them. 6 hours later, they sent a formal summons. Liam burned it. By noon, they were pounding on his chamber doors. "Your Majesty." The voice belonged to Elder Marcus, the head of the council, a gray-haired wolf with more ambition than sense. "Open this door immediately. We have a right to speak with you." "No, you don't," Liam called back, not moving from Ella's side. "The pack is in uproar. There are rumors. Rumors aren't my concern. That you've brought a forbidden wolf into the palace. That you're harboring an Omega." Silence. Then, slowly, Liam stood. He crossed to the door, unlocked it, and opened it just wide enough to fill the doorway with his frame. Elder Marcus stood on the other side, flanked by 4 other council members, all wearing expressions of righteous indignation. "Choose your next words very carefully," Liam said softly. Marcus swallowed, but held his ground. "Is it true? Is there an Omega in your chambers? What I do in my private chambers is none of the council's business. It is when you're breaking kingdom law." Marcus's voice rose. "The Omega Purge was enacted for a reason. They're too dangerous, too powerful, too unpredictable. If you're hiding one..." "I'm not hiding anything." Liam's eyes flashed gold. "I'm protecting my mate." Gasps rippled through the council members. "Your mate?" Marcus looked like he'd been slapped. "You can't be serious." "Deadly serious." "But the prophecy." "I don't care about the prophecy. You have to care." Marcus stepped forward, desperation creeping into his voice. "The Alpha King will fall in love with the woman destined to destroy his throne. That's not just a story, Your Majesty. It's a warning. Every king who's ignored it has fallen. Then I'll be the first who doesn't." "You're being irrational." "I'm being honest." Liam leaned against the doorframe, every inch the predator. "For the first time in 6 years, I'm being completely, utterly honest. She's my mate. I'm not giving her up. And if the council has a problem with that, they're welcome to challenge me." The council members exchanged nervous glances. No one was stupid enough to challenge an Alpha King in his prime. "There has to be a compromise," one of the other elders said, a woman named Vera, shrewd and calculating. "Surely we can find a solution that doesn't involve defying centuries of law." "I'm listening." "Let us see her," Vera said carefully. "Let us verify what she is. If she's truly an Omega, then perhaps we can find a way to keep her contained. Controlled. For the safety of the pack." Liam's growl rattled the walls. "She's not a prisoner. She's a threat. She's a person." His voice dropped to something deadly. "And if any of you try to contain or control her, you'll learn very quickly that I am my father's son. And my father didn't earn the name the Ruthless by showing mercy to people who threatened what was his." Dead silence. Then Marcus drew himself up, his expression hardening. "Very well, Your Majesty. If you won't see reason, then the council has no choice but to invoke Article 7 of the Kingdom Charter." Liam went very still. "You wouldn't dare." Article 7 allows the council to remove an Alpha King who is deemed unfit to rule due to compromised judgment or decisions that endanger the pack. Marcus's voice was cold. Harboring a forbidden omega, your mate or not, qualifies. You have 72 hours to surrender her to the council for judgment, or we will call for a vote of no confidence. You'll lose, Liam said flatly. Will we? Marcus smiled, sharp and humorless. The pack is already divided, Your Majesty. And when they learn you're choosing an omega over their safety, over the stability of the kingdom, loyalty only goes so far. Get out. 72 hours, Marcus repeated. Make the right choice, Liam. For all our sakes. The council retreated down the hall, leaving Liam standing in the doorway, fury and helplessness warring in his chest. Dane appeared from the shadows, his expression grim. They're serious, he said quietly. If you don't comply, they'll tear the pack apart. Let them try. Liam. I said, let them try. He turned back into the room, slamming the door behind him. But as he returned to Ella's side, as he took her hand and felt the bond pulse weakly between them, a cold truth settled over him. The council was right about one thing. He was going to have to choose. His kingdom. Or his mate. And for the first time in his life, he had no idea how to win. The council just declared war. Drop a comment, Team Ella or Team Kingdom. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Ella woke to the smell of cedar and winter storms. And warmth. So much warmth. She blinked slowly, her vision blurry, and realized she was wrapped in blankets that smelled like him. Like the Alpha King. Like the man who'd carried her through fire and snow, who'd killed for her, who'd. You're awake. His voice was rough, exhausted, and when she turned her head, she found him sitting in a chair pulled close to the bed, still wearing blood-stained clothes, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he'd been through hell. For her. How long? Her voice came out as a rasp. 2 days. He leaned forward, and she saw the relief flood his features. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Mara said you were fighting the transition. That your wolf was. He stopped, his jaw clenching. How do you feel? Ella took inventory. Her wrists still ached where the silver had burned, but the wounds were healing faster than they should be. Her body felt different. Stronger. Like something that had been sleeping her entire life was finally stirring awake. Her wolf. She could feel it now, a presence in the back of her mind. Not fully formed, not fully free, but there. Watching. Waiting. Different, she whispered. I feel different. Your wolf is waking up. Liam's voice was careful. Mara said it would take time. That the transition would be painful. But you're strong, Ella. Stronger than. The council knows, don't they? His silence was answer enough. Ella closed her eyes, dread settling in her stomach like a stone. What did they say? It doesn't matter. Liam. It doesn't matter, he repeated, his voice firm. Because I'm not giving you to them. I don't care what they threaten. I don't care what laws they invoke. You're staying here. With me. They'll remove you from the throne. Let them try. You're not listening. She tried to sit up, and he was there instantly, hands gentle but firm, helping her into a sitting position. She found herself eye level with him, close enough to see the gold flecks in his eyes, the stubble on his jaw, the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Because of her. I'm listening, he said quietly. I'm listening to every word. But what you're not understanding is that nothing they say or do is going to change my mind. You're my mate, Ella. And I would burn this entire kingdom to the ground before I let them touch you. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Her voice broke. Don't you see? The prophecy is already coming true. I'm already destroying everything you've built. The council is turning against you. The pack is divided. And it's all because of me. It's because of them, Liam corrected, his voice hard. Because they'd rather cling to outdated laws and fear than accept change. Because they're cowards who'd rather execute an innocent woman than face their own prejudices. I'm not innocent. The words came out bitter. I'm an Omega. The thing they've been taught to fear for generations. And maybe they're right to fear me. Why? Because of some prophecy written by people who've been dead for centuries. Because I can feel it, Liam. She pulled away from him, wrapping her arms around herself. Every time my wolf stirs, I can feel the power. It's vast, overwhelming, and I don't know how to control it. What if they're right? What if I really am dangerous? Then we'll figure it out together. You keep saying that. Because it's true. He reached for her hand, and she let him take it, let him thread his fingers through hers. You're not alone anymore, Ella. You don't have to carry this by yourself. She wanted to believe him. Moon goddess, she wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. But she'd spent her entire life alone. Hiding. Running. Watching everyone she'd ever cared about suffer because of what she was. Her mother had died to keep her safe. She wouldn't let Liam do the same. There has to be another way, she said softly. Some way to fix this without you losing everything. There is. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. We face them together. We show them that you're not a threat. That Omegas aren't the monsters they've been taught to fear. And if they don't listen, then we make them listen. A knock at the door interrupted them. Your Majesty. Dane's voice urgent. We have a problem. Liam's eyes flashed gold. Not now. It can't wait. With a muttered curse, Liam stood. Stay here, he told Ella. Don't open the door for anyone but me or Mara. Liam. But he was already crossing to the door, slipping out into the hall. She heard low, tense voices, then silence. Then Liam's roar of fury. Ella's heart seized. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. She threw off the blankets, noting distantly that she was wearing his shirt, nothing else, and stumbled to the door. Her legs were weak, unsteady, but she forced them to work. When she opened the door, she found Liam and Dane in the hallway, and between them, a body. Small. Broken. A girl who couldn't have been more than 16, her throat torn out, her eyes still open in death. And pinned to her chest was a note, written in blood. This is what happens to wolves who protect Omegas. Surrender her, or more will die. Ella's knees buckled. Liam caught her before she could fall, pulling her against his chest, but she couldn't stop staring at the girl. Who is she? Ella's voice was hollow. A servant, Dane said quietly. She was assigned to bring you food earlier today. Someone must have seen her outside the Alpha King's chambers and assumed. They killed her. The words felt like broken glass in Ella's mouth. They killed her because of me. They killed her because they're cowards, Liam snarled, his arms tightening around her. Because they're trying to scare us. To make us give up. It's working. Ella pulled back, looking up at him. Liam, I can't let this happen. I can't let people die because of me. This isn't your fault. It is. The words came out as a shout, and she felt her wolf surge forward, power crackling beneath her skin. Don't you see? As long as I'm here, you're all in danger. The pack. The servants. You. I'm a weapon, Liam. And I don't even know how to control it. Then we'll learn. There's no time. She could feel it now, the power building inside her, threatening to overflow. My wolf is waking up. The seal is breaking. And when it does, when I fully shift, I don't know what will happen. What if I hurt someone? What if I hurt you? You won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Because I know you, Ella. I've watched you for 6 years. I've seen your kindness, your strength, your heart. And I know that whatever power you have, you'll use it to protect, not destroy. How can you be so sure? Because you're my mate. His voice dropped to something raw, vulnerable. And the moon goddess doesn't make mistakes. If she chose you for me, then you're exactly what I need. What this kingdom needs. Even if they're too blind to see it yet. Ella stared at him, tears streaming down her face. She wanted to believe him. But the body in the hallway said otherwise. The council gave you 72 hours, she said softly. How much time is left? Liam's jaw clenched. 24 hours. Then we have 24 hours to find a solution. She straightened, pulling away from him, and felt her wolf settle, just slightly. Is there anyone who would support us? Anyone on the council who might listen to reason? Elder Vera, Dane offered. She's calculating, but she's not cruel. If we could convince her, then we convince her. Ella turned to Liam. Let me talk to the council. Absolutely not. They need to see me, she interrupted. They need to see that I'm not a monster. That I'm just a woman. A wolf. Someone who wants to live in peace. They'll try to kill you the moment you walk in that room. Then you'll stop them. She stepped closer, placing her hand over his heart. You said we'd face this together. So let me face them. Let me try. Liam looked like he wanted to argue. But then his expression shifted, and she saw it the moment he realized she was right. On one condition, he said finally, I'm with you. Every second. And if they so much as breathe wrong, I'm getting you out of there. Deal. The council chamber was exactly as imposing as Ella had imagined. High ceilings. Stone walls. A long table where 7 elders sat, their expressions ranging from hostile to curious to outright disgusted. Elder Marcus sat at the head, his face twisted in contempt as Ella entered, Liam at her side. So Marcus said slowly, this is the Omega. Ella fought the urge to hide behind Liam. Instead, she straightened her spine and met Marcus's gaze head-on. My name is Ella, she said quietly. And I'm not here to threaten anyone. I'm here to ask for a chance. A chance. Marcus laughed, sharp and cruel. You want a chance? You're a forbidden wolf. An abomination. The law is clear. The law is 300 years old, Elder Vera interrupted, her eyes sharp on Ella. Perhaps it's time we examined whether it still serves us. Marcus whirled on her. You can't be serious. I'm always serious. Vera stood, moving around the table to stand in front of Ella. She was tall, elegant, with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. Tell me, girl. What do you want? Ella swallowed hard. I want to live. I want to stop running. And I want, her eyes flickered to Liam. I want to be with my mate. Even if it costs him his throne? I'd rather he keep his throne, Ella said honestly. But if the only way to do that is by dying, then I'd rather die than watch him suffer because of me. Silence. Vera studied her for a long moment, then turned to Marcus. She doesn't sound like a monster to me. Sounds are deceiving, Marcus snapped. She's an Omega. Do you have any idea what that means? The power she'll have once she fully transitions? She could control entire packs. Start wars. Overthrow kingdoms. Or she could heal them. The voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. Mara stood there, leaning on a carved staff, her expression grave. What are you doing here? Marcus demanded. Telling you the truth you're too afraid to hear. Mara moved into the room, her movement slow but deliberate. I'm an Omega. I survived the purge. And I've spent the last 300 years watching this kingdom tear itself apart because you're all too terrified of something you don't understand. You're in exile. I'm a survivor. Mara's voice was steel. And I'm here to tell you that this girl, this Omega, is not your enemy. She's your salvation. That's ridiculous. Is it? Mara turned to Ella. Show them. Ella blinked. Show them what? Your wolf. Let them see what they're so afraid of. Panic flooded Ella's chest. I can't. I don't know how to control it. You don't have to control it, Mara said gently. Just let it come. Let them see the truth. Liam's hand found hers, squeezing tight. You don't have to do this. But Ella knew she did. This was the only way. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and reached for the presence that had been stirring inside her for days. Her wolf. Hello, she whispered into the darkness. And her wolf answered. Light exploded through the room. Not harsh, not violent, but warm, soft, like moonlight made solid. Ella's wolf surged forward, and she felt herself shift, but not into the massive, terrifying creature she'd feared. Into something smaller, sleeker. A white wolf with silver markings, her eyes the same storm gray as Ella's human form. Beautiful. The council stared. Impossible, Marcus breathed. But Vera was smiling. An Omega, she said softly. A true Omega. Moon goddess. I never thought I'd see one in my lifetime. Ella's wolf moved forward, cautious, and stopped in front of Liam. He dropped to his knees, reaching out slowly, and when she pressed her nose to his palm, the bond between them sang. Mate. Home. Safe. She's not a monster, Liam said, his voice rough with emotion. She's perfect. And if you can't see that, then you're the ones who are blind. Ella shifted back, suddenly very aware that she was naked in a room full of strangers. Liam immediately removed his cloak and wrapped it around her. The vote, Vera said, turning to the council. All in favor of granting the Omega Sanctuary and recognizing her as the Alpha King's mate? 3 hands went up. 3 stayed down. Marcus's expression was murderous. This isn't over. No, a new voice agreed. Everyone turned. A man stood in the doorway, tall, dark-haired, with eyes that burned gold. And he smiled at Ella. It's just beginning. The stranger's smile was sharp enough to cut. Liam moved instantly, placing himself between Ella and the newcomer, his body coiled like a spring ready to snap. His wolf surged forward, recognizing a threat even before his conscious mind caught up. Who are you? Liam's voice was barely human, more growl than words. The man tilted his head, still smiling. You don't remember me, cousin? I'm hurt. Cousin. The word hit Liam like a physical blow. Jareth, he breathed, and Ella felt him tense even further. You're supposed to be dead. Dead? Jareth laughed, stepping into the room with the casual confidence of someone who knew he was untouchable. Is that what they told you? How convenient. No, dear cousin, I've been very much alive. Just waiting for the right moment to return home. He was handsome in a dangerous way, sharp cheekbones, full lips, eyes that promised violence wrapped in silk. He wore traveling clothes, expensive but worn, and there was something predatory in the way he moved. Like a wolf who'd learned to hunt in the shadows. Elder Marcus stood, his expression carefully neutral. Prince Jareth. This is unexpected. I'm sure it is. Jareth's eyes swept the room, cataloging every face, before landing on Ella. And this must be the infamous Omega everyone's talking about. The one who's got the entire kingdom in an uproar. Ella felt his gaze like ice water down her spine. Stay away from her, Liam warned, his voice deadly. Relax, cousin. I'm not here to hurt your pretty little mate. Jareth spread his hands in a gesture of peace that fooled no one. I'm here to offer a solution to your predicament. We don't need your help. Don't you? Jareth's smile widened. From what I hear, the council's about to vote you off the throne. Half the pack wants the Omega's head. And you're standing here with no allies and no plan. But please, continue pretending you have everything under control. Silence fell like a blade. Elder Vera was the first to speak, her voice cautious. What kind of solution? A compromise. Jareth leaned against the wall, utterly at ease. The council wants the Omega contained. The Alpha King wants her protected. I can give you both. How? Marcus demanded. Simple. I take her. The room erupted. Liam's roar shook the walls. Over my dead body. Hear me out. Jareth raised his voice above the chaos. I have a territory on the northern border. Isolated. Secure. Far from the capital and far from the pack's prying eyes. The Omega lives there, under my protection, and everyone gets what they want. The council gets her out of the capital. The Alpha King knows she's safe. And his eyes gleamed. I get to prove my loyalty to the crown by serving as her guardian. Absolutely not, Liam snarled. But Marcus was nodding slowly. It's not a terrible idea. It's a horrible idea. Liam turned on the elder. You want me to hand my maid over to a wolf I haven't seen in 15 years? A wolf who was exiled for treason. I was exiled for speaking truth to power, Jareth corrected mildly. Big difference. And I've spent the last 15 years building a life in the north. I have resources. connections. And most importantly, I have no stake in the capital's politics. I'm the perfect neutral party. You're a snake, Liam shot back. Maybe. Jareth shrugged. But I'm a snake who's offering you a way out. Unless you'd prefer to watch the council tear your kingdom apart? Or maybe you'd rather they execute her. Because those are your only other options, cousin. Ella's hand found Liam's arm, and she felt him trembling with barely suppressed rage. Liam, she said softly. Maybe we should. No, he turned to her, his eyes wild. No, Ella. I'm not sending you away. I'm not letting him take you. But if it's the only way. It's not the only way. His hands cupped her face, desperate. There has to be another way. We just need more time. Time's up, Marcus interrupted coldly. Prince Jareth's offer is generous. The Omega goes north, under his protection, and the Alpha King remains on the throne. Or she stays, and we proceed with the vote of no confidence. Those are your choices. Vote then, Liam said flatly. Because she's not going anywhere. Liam, please, Ella's voice broke. Don't throw away everything for me. Everything means nothing without you. Tears burned her eyes. You can't mean that. I've never meant anything more. Elder Vera cleared her throat. Perhaps we should give them a moment to discuss this privately. The decision doesn't have to be made right now. Actually, it does. Jareth pushed off the wall. Because while you've all been debating, a mob has been gathering outside the palace gates. Words spread about the Omega. And they're not happy. As if summoned by his words, a distant roar echoed through the stone walls. Angry voices. Hundreds of them. Dane burst into the chamber, his face pale. Your Majesty, we have a situation. The gates won't hold much longer. They're demanding. The Omega's head, Jareth finished. I know. I saw them on my way in. Quite the crowd. Torches, silver weapons, the whole dramatic package. Ella's blood turned to ice. How long do we have? Liam demanded. An hour. Maybe less. Dane's expression was grim. We can hold them off for a while, but if they breach the inner walls. They won't, Liam said with absolute certainty. I'll go out there. I'll make them see reason. They're beyond reason, Marcus interrupted. They're terrified. And terror doesn't listen to logic. Then I'll remind them who their Alpha King is. You'll remind them that you're choosing an Omega over your own people, Jareth said quietly. And that will only make things worse. But if you let me take her north, right now, before the mob breaches the gates, the situation diffuses. The people see that you're listening to their concerns. The council sees that you're willing to compromise. And your mate lives. Liam looked like he'd been gutted. No. Liam. Ella's voice was steady, even as her heart shattered. He's right. Don't. His eyes were wild, desperate. Don't do this, Ella. Don't leave me. I'm not leaving you. She took his hands, holding them tight. I'm saving you. Saving the kingdom. This is the only way. There has to be another way. There isn't. A tear slipped down her cheek. And you know it. You've always known it. The prophecy said I'd destroy your throne. Maybe this is how. By making you choose between me and everything you've built. I choose you, he said fiercely. I'll always choose you. Then choose me by letting me go. Her voice broke. Choose me by staying alive. By keeping your throne. By being the king your people need. I need you. And I need you to trust me. She pressed her forehead to his. Trust that I can survive this. That I'm strong enough. That we'll find a way back to each other. Ella. I'm not running anymore, Liam. I'm fighting. But I'm fighting smart. And right now, that means going north with your cousin and buying us time to figure out a real solution. The mob's roar grew louder, closer. Jareth cleared his throat. Hate to rush a touching moment, but we really need to leave. Now. Liam's hands tightened on Ella's, his entire body shaking. I'm going to find a way to fix this. I'm going to find a way to bring you home. I know you will. And if he hurts you, if he so much as looks at you wrong, I will hunt him to the ends of the earth. Noted, Jareth said dryly. Ella stood on her toes and pressed a soft kiss to Liam's jaw. I love you, she whispered, the words slipping out before she could stop them. His breath caught. What? I love you. I've loved you for 6 years. Since the first morning I walked into your chambers and you looked at me like I was something precious instead of something to be feared. I was just too afraid to say it. Ella, his voice broke. I'll come back to you, she promised. Somehow. I'll come back. Then she pulled away, even as every instinct screamed at her to stay, and turned to Jareth. Let's go. Jareth nodded, his expression unreadable. This way. There's a passage that leads out of the palace. My horses are waiting. As they moved toward the door, Liam called out Jareth. His cousin paused. If anything happens to her, Liam said, his voice colder than winter, I will make what father did to you look like mercy. Jareth's smile was sharp. Understood, cousin. The passage was dark, damp, and seemingly endless. Ella followed Jareth through the tunnels, her heart in her throat, listening to the sounds of the mob growing fainter behind them. She wore Liam's cloak still, wrapped tight around her, and it smelled like him. Like home. You really love him, Jareth said suddenly, his voice echoing off the stone walls. Yes. Even though he ignored you for 6 years? He was protecting me. Or himself. Jareth glanced back at her, his expression thoughtful. My cousin has always been good at convincing himself that his coldness is kindness. That distance is the same as safety. You don't know him. I know him better than you think. Jareth's voice turned bitter. We grew up together, you know. Before I was exiled. He was like a brother to me. And then his father decided I was a threat to the throne, and suddenly Liam couldn't even look at me anymore. Ella didn't know what to say to that. They emerged from the tunnel into a moonlit clearing where 3 horses waited, saddled and ready. We'll ride through the night, Jareth said, moving to the largest horse. By dawn, we'll be across the border into my territory. You'll be safe there. Will I? Ella studied him carefully. Or am I just trading one prison for another? Smart girl. Jareth smiled. Let's find out, shall we? He helped her onto one of the horses she'd never ridden before, but he didn't seem surprised, and then they were off, racing through the forest under a bleeding moon. Ella looked back once, toward the palace. Toward Liam. And whispered into the wind, I'm sorry. They rode for hours. By the time the sun rose, Ella's entire body ached. But Jareth didn't stop, just kept pushing them forward until they crossed into territory Ella didn't recognize. The landscape changed, became wilder, more isolated, and colder. Finally, as the sun climbed higher, Jareth pulled his horse to a stop in front of a massive stone fortress built into the side of a mountain. Welcome to Shadowmere, he said. Your new home. Ella stared at the fortress. It looked like something out of a nightmare, all sharp edges and dark stone, with towers that reached toward the sky like claws. It's not as bad as it looks, Jareth said, helping her down from the horse. Well, not much worse anyway. Guards appeared, at least a dozen of them, all wearing black, all watching Ella with expressions ranging from curiosity to hostility. This is Ella, Jareth announced. She's under my protection. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Understood. The guards nodded, but Ella saw the way they looked at her. Like prey. Come on, Jareth said, his hand light on her lower back, guiding her toward the fortress entrance. Let me show you your rooms. You must be exhausted. Ella followed him numbly, her mind still back in the palace with Liam. But as they entered the fortress, as the doors slammed shut behind them with a sound like a tomb closing, a terrible realization settled over her. She'd made a mistake. A huge, irreversible mistake. Because Jareth wasn't here to protect her. He was here to use her. And she'd just walked willingly into his trap. The room Jareth gave her was beautiful. That was the first sign something was very, very wrong. High ceilings. Silk curtains the color of midnight. A 4-poster bed draped in furs. A fireplace already burning, casting dancing shadows across stone walls hung with tapestries depicting wolves in battle. It was a room fit for a queen. Or a prisoner who needed to be kept comfortable. I trust this meets your standards? Jareth stood in the doorway, watching her with those predator eyes. Ella wrapped Liam's cloak tighter around herself. Why are you doing this? Doing what? Pretending to help me. Pretending you care whether I live or die. She turned to face him fully. You didn't offer to protect me out of kindness. So, what do you want? Jareth's smile was slow, approving. You're smarter than you look. Answer the question. Very well. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. Not threatening. Not yet. But the click of the lock was loud as a gunshot. I want what everyone wants, Ella. Power. And you, a true Omega, bonded to the Alpha King, are the most powerful piece on the board right now. Ice flooded her veins. I won't help you take his throne. I don't need your help taking it. Jareth moved to the window, gazing out at the mountains. I need your help holding it. Once I have it. You're insane. Am I? He glanced back at her. Think about it. Liam's position is already compromised. The council questions his judgment. The pack questions his loyalty. And you, his greatest weakness, are conveniently out of the way. How long do you think it'll take before someone challenges him? He'll win. Will he? Jareth's voice was soft, dangerous. He's distracted. Heartbroken. Weakened by a bond he can't complete because you're here and he's there. An Alpha King who can't focus is an Alpha King who loses. Ella's hands clenched into fists. If you hurt him, I won't have to. Jareth turned fully to face her. He'll destroy himself. And when he does, when the throne is empty and the kingdom is in chaos, I'll step in. Restore order. Become the king the people need. And you, his smile was sharp. You'll become my queen. Never. You don't have a choice. His voice dropped, all pretense of civility gone. You're here. You're mine. And the sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. I'm Liam's maid. A bond that's never been completed. Jareth took a step closer. Do you know what that means? It means it's not permanent. It means another alpha, a stronger alpha, could still claim you. Override the bond. Make you forget Liam ever existed. Horror crawled up Ella's spine. That's not possible. It's rare. Difficult. Painful. Another step. But possible. Especially if the original bond is weak. Unfulfilled. And yours, he tilted his head. Yours is barely there at all, isn't it? 6 years of denial. 6 years of distance. That's not a bond. That's a whisper. You're lying. Am I? He was close now. Too close. Tell me, Ella. When Liam looks at you, do you feel it? The pull? The certainty? Or do you feel like you're always waiting for him to finally choose you? The words hit like daggers. Because he was right. Even after everything, after Liam had killed for her, protected her, claimed her, there was still a part of Ella that waited for him to change his mind. To realize she wasn't worth it. To walk away. He won't come for you, Jareth whispered. He can't. The moment he leaves the capital, the council will move against him. And he knows it. So he'll stay. And you'll be here. Alone. Forgotten. No, but her voice shook. Yes. Jareth's hand came up, not quite touching her face. But I'm offering you something better. Power. Protection. A place at my side. All you have to do is accept it. I'd rather die. His smile turned cruel. That can be arranged too. He stepped back, the mask of civility sliding back into place. You have 3 days to think about it. 3 days to decide whether you want to be a queen or a corpse. Then he was gone, the door locking behind him. Ella's legs gave out. She sank to the floor, Liam's cloak pooling around her, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she let herself break. Back at the palace, Liam was destroying his study. Papers scattered. Furniture overturned. Deep claw marks gouged into the walls where his wolf had tried to claw its way out. Find her. Bring her home. Protect. But he couldn't. Because Jareth was right. The moment Liam left the capital, the council would move. They'd declare him unfit, install someone else, and Ella would be even more vulnerable than she already was. Liam. Dane's voice came from the doorway, cautious. You need to see this. Not now. It's about Jareth. Liam's head snapped up. What about him? Dane stepped into the ruined study, holding a worn leather journal. I found this in the archives. Your father's private records. There's something you need to know about your cousin. I know he's a snake. He's worse than that. Dane opened the journal, pointing to a passage written in the late king's handwriting. Jareth wasn't exiled for treason. He was exiled for attempting to force a bond with an Omega. The world tilted. What? Liam's voice was barely human. 30 years ago, there was an Omega in the kingdom. The last one before Ella. Your father was trying to protect her, keep her hidden. But Jareth found out. He tried to claim her. Override her bond with another wolf. When your father stopped him, Dane's expression was grim. The Omega died in the struggle. And Jareth was banished. He killed an Omega. The words tasted like ash. And I just handed him Ella. You didn't know. I should have known. Liam roared, his wolf surging forward. I should have questioned him. I should have, his voice broke. Moon Goddess, what have I done? We can fix this. How? Liam whirled on his beta. I can't leave. The council is watching my every move. The pack is one wrong decision away from revolt. And Ella is trapped with a wolf who's already killed one Omega. Then we don't do this alone. Dane's voice was firm. We find allies. People who believe in you. In her. And we build an army. We don't have time for an army. Then we get creative. Dane pulled out a map, spreading it across the least destroyed section of Desk. Jareth's territory is here. 3 days ride north. He'll expect you to stay put, to play by the council's rules. So we don't. We go around them. The moment I leave. You don't leave. Dane's eyes gleamed. I do. With a small team. People we trust. We extract Ella while you stay here and hold the kingdom together. The council will see it as an act of war. Let them. Dane's voice was hard. You're the Alpha King. Start acting like it. Stop letting them dictate terms. Stop playing defense. It's time to remind everyone in this kingdom exactly who you are. Liam stared at his beta, something fierce and feral stirring in his chest. Dane was right. He'd been reacting. Defending. Trying to protect everyone while his mate suffered. No more. Gather your team, Liam said, his voice deadly calm. Take whoever you need. And Dane. His eyes flashed gold. Bring her home. Whatever it takes. Yes, my king. As Dane left, Liam turned back to the window, toward the north. Hold on, Ella. I'm coming. We're coming. Just hold on. In Shadowmere, Ella stood at her window, staring at the same moon Liam was looking at. She'd spent hours pacing, planning, looking for a way out. There wasn't one. The fortress was built into a mountain. The only entrance was guarded. Her room was 3 stories up, and even if she could somehow climb down, she had no idea where she was or how to get back to the palace. She was trapped. But I'm not helpless. Her wolf stirred, responding to her determination. For 6 years, Ella had hidden, run, made herself small and invisible to survive. But she wasn't that girl anymore. She was an Omega. A wolf. Liam's mate. And it was time to stop being afraid. She closed her eyes, reaching for her wolf. Not to shift, she wasn't strong enough for that yet, but to feel the power that lived inside her. It answered immediately. Not with violence. Not with destruction. But with something else. Connection. Ella's eyes flew open as she felt it, threads of awareness, stretching out from her like invisible lines. She could sense the wolves in the fortress. Their emotions. Their thoughts, faint and indistinct, but their fear, anger, confusion. They didn't understand what she was. But they could feel her presence like pressure in their minds. This was Omega power. The ability to sense, to influence, to connect with other wolves. And if she could feel them, maybe she could reach further. Ella pressed her hand to the window, focusing everything she had on one thought. One name. Liam. She pushed the thought out, imagining it traveling across mountains and forests, searching for the bond that connected them. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, Ella. His voice, faint as a whisper, but there. In her mind. In her soul. Liam. She nearly sobbed with relief. Liam, can you hear me? I can hear you. Moon Goddess, I can hear you. Are you okay? Has he hurt you? Not yet. But Liam, he's planning something. He wants to take your throne. He wants to. She couldn't finish the sentence. I know. Dane found records. I know what he is. His voice was fierce, protective. But we're coming for you. Hold on for 3 more days. Can you do that? I can try. Don't try. Do it. The command in his voice made her wolf whine with need. You're the strongest person I know, Ella. You survived 23 years alone. You can survive 3 more days. What if I can't? Then I'll burn this entire kingdom to the ground to get to you. His voice softened. I love you, Ella. I should have said it when I had the chance. But I'm saying it now. I love you. And I'm not losing you. Tears streamed down her face. I love you too. 3 days. Just give me 3 days. The connection flickered, weakened. Liam? But he was gone. Ella sank to the floor, exhausted. The effort of reaching across that distance had drained her completely. But it was worth it. Because now she knew. He was coming. She just had to survive until he got there. The door burst open. Ella scrambled to her feet as Jareth strode in, his expression thunderous. What did you just do? He demanded. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. He crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbing her arm. I felt it. Every wolf in this fortress felt it. You reached out. Used your Omega power. Who are you calling? Ella lifted her chin. My mate. Jareth's eyes flashed with fury. You think he's coming for you? You think he'll risk everything, his throne, his kingdom, his life, for a wolf he barely knows? I don't think it, Ella said quietly. I know it. Then you're a fool. But there was something in his expression, uncertainty, maybe even fear. And you've just made everything so much harder. Good. His grip tightened. You have no idea what you've done. No idea what's coming. Then enlighten me. Jareth stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he released her arm. There are others, he said finally. Others who know what you are. What you're worth. And they're coming, Ella. Not to save you. To claim you. To use you as a weapon against every kingdom in the realm. Who? Rogues. Exiles. Wolves who've been waiting centuries for an Omega to return. His voice dropped. And they'll be here long before Liam will. I'll fight them. With what? Jareth's laugh was bitter. You can barely shift. You can't control your power. You're a lamb surrounded by wolves, Ella. And the only chance you have of surviving is if you let me protect you. Why would you protect me if you're planning to use me? Because a dead Omega is worthless to everyone. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. I'm not the villain here. I'm just a wolf trying to survive in a world that's about to tear itself apart. And whether you believe it or not, your best chance is with me. Before Ella could respond, a howl split the night. Close. Too close. Jareth's head snapped toward the window. They're already here. Who? The rogues I warned you about. He grabbed her hand. Come on. We need to get you somewhere safe. I'm not going anywhere with you. Another howl. Then another. A chorus of them surrounding the fortress. You can trust me or die, Jareth said flatly. Choose now. Ella looked at the window, at the shadows moving through the trees, and made her choice. Fine. But if you betray me, I know. Liam will kill me. Jareth pulled her toward the door. Get in line. They ran. The fortress shook with the impact of bodies hitting stone. Jareth dragged Ella through corridors that twisted and turned like a maze, his hand iron tight around her wrist. Behind them, she could hear screams. Snarls. The wet sounds of teeth meeting flesh. The rogues weren't just attacking. They were slaughtering. How many? Ella gasped as they rounded another corner. Too many. Jareth kicked open a door, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Down. Now. Where are we going? The catacombs. There's a passage that leads to the mountain base. If we can reach it before they breach the lower levels. A howl echoed from somewhere above them. Close. Getting closer. Move. Jareth shoved her forward. Ella stumbled down the stairs, her bare feet slipping on wet stone. She was still wearing only Liam's shirt beneath the cloak, completely unprepared for a fight, for running, for any of this. Her wolf stirred, agitated, wanting to shift and fight. But she didn't know how. Didn't know if she could. They hit the bottom of the stairs and emerged into a vast underground chamber lit by guttering torches. Bones lined the walls, thousands of them, ancient and yellowed with age. The old burial grounds, Jareth muttered, pulling her through the forest of skulls and scattered remains. This way. Jareth, Ella's voice caught. Why are they here? Why now? Because word spread. His voice was tight. A true Omega, unprotected, unmarked. Every rogue with half a brain knows what that means. Whoever claims you first gets the power, gets the leverage, gets to reshape the entire wolf hierarchy. I'm not a prize to be won. Tell them that. They burst through another doorway into a smaller chamber, and Jareth spun, shoving a massive iron bar across the door to seal it. That won't hold for long, he said, breathing hard. But it'll buy us time. Time for what? For you to make a choice. Jareth turned to face her fully, and Ella saw something in his expression she hadn't expected. Regret. I lied, he said quietly. Before. About taking Liam's throne. About making you my queen. Ella's breath caught. What? I lied. He laughed, bitter and broken. I was never planning to claim you, Ella. I was planning to use you as bait. Bait? For who? For them. Jareth gestured toward the barred door, where the sounds of pursuit were growing louder. The rogues. The exiles. Every wolf in the realm who'd kill to get their hands on an Omega. I was going to let them come, let them think they could take you, and then, his jaw clenched. I was going to kill them all. Every single one. And prove to the kingdom that I'm strong enough to protect what they fear most. That's insane. That's survival. His eyes blazed. Do you know what it's like to be exiled? To be cast out from the only family you've ever known? I've spent 15 years clawing my way back to relevance, trying to prove I'm not the monster they made me into. And you were my chance. My proof. So why tell me now? Because I underestimated them. Jareth's voice cracked. There are too many. And they're not here to negotiate. They're here to take you by force. Which means I can't protect you alone. The door shuddered under a massive impact. What do you want from me? Ella demanded. Fight. Jareth moved to a weapons rack on the wall, pulling down a silver blade. Your wolf is waking up. I can feel it. You're stronger than you think. So stop hiding. Stop being afraid. And help me hold them off until your mate gets here. I can't. You can. He thrust the blade toward her. You're an Omega. You have power these rogues can't even imagine. So use it. Connect with them. Confuse them. Turn them against each other if you have to. But do something, Ella, or we're both dead. Ella stared at the blade in her trembling hands. Then at the door, which was splintering under repeated blows. And she made a decision. Okay, she whispered. Okay. She closed her eyes and reached for her wolf. Not tentatively. Not carefully. With everything she had. Come out, she commanded. Now. And her wolf answered. The transformation was agony. Bones cracking, reshaping. Skin splitting to make room for fur. Every nerve ending on fire as her human form gave way to something wild, something other. Ella screamed, and the scream became a howl. When she opened her eyes, the world had changed. Sharper. Brighter. Every scent distinct and overwhelming. She could hear heartbeats, Jareth's, fast and fierce beside her. And beyond the door, dozens more. Hungry. Violent. Coming for her. She looked down at her paws, white as snow, tipped with silver, and felt power surge through her like lightning. Mine, her wolf growled. Protect. Fight. Win. The door exploded inward. Rogues poured through, 10, 15, 20 of them. Massive wolves with scarred pelts and eyes that gleamed with madness. They saw her and howled in triumph. Jareth shifted beside her, his wolf dark gray and battle-scarred, and lunged forward. But Ella didn't move. Instead, she opened her mind. Omega power flooded out like a wave, crashing into every rogue in the chamber. She felt their minds chaotic, violent, barely controlled, and she pulled. Not with force. With need. Stop, she commanded, pushing the thought into their consciousness. Stop fighting. Stop hunting. Stop. Half the rogues froze mid-step, confusion flickering across their feral faces. But the others, the strongest, the most desperate, shook off her influence and kept coming. Ella snarled and met them head-on. She was smaller than them, weaker in raw strength. But she was fast. She dodged the first attack, teeth snapping closed on empty air where she'd been a heartbeat before. Spun and raked her claws across a second rogue's flank, drawing blood. Jareth was beside her in an instant, fighting with brutal efficiency, protecting her left side while she covered his right. Keep using your power, he snarled between attacks. Divide them. Ella reached out again, targeting the weakest minds, the most uncertain. You don't want this, she whispered into their thoughts. You're afraid. You're tired. You want to run. 3 more rogues broke off, whimpering, retreating toward the door. But the others kept coming. One of them, huge and scarred, with one milky white eye, lunged directly at Ella, jaws wide. She didn't have time to dodge. But then Jareth was there, intercepting the attack, taking the bite meant for her. His yelp of pain shot through Ella like a blade. No! Her wolf surged forward with a roar that shook the chamber. Omega power exploded from her, not controlled, not careful, just raw, overwhelming force that crashed into every mind in the room like a tidal wave. Stop. And they did. Every single rogue froze, their eyes glazing over, their wolves submitting to a power they couldn't fight. Ella stood in the center of the chamber, her white fur glowing with silver light, and for the first time, she understood what she was. Not a weapon. Not a prize, but a force of nature. A being who could command wolves the way the moon commanded the tides. The rogues backed away, whimpering, tails between their legs. And then they ran. All of them. Streaming out of the chamber in a panicked rush, trampling each other in their desperation to escape. Ella's legs gave out, the power draining from her all at once. She shifted back to human form, naked and shaking, and crawled to where Jareth lay bleeding. Jareth. I'm fine, he gasped, shifting back as well. Blood poured from a massive bite wound on his shoulder. That was incredible. Terrifying. But incredible. You saved me. Yeah, well. He winced. Don't tell Liam. He'll be insufferably smug about me doing his job. Ella laughed, the sound half-sob. Why did you do it? You could have let them take me. Could have. Because despite what you think, I'm not completely heartless. Jareth's expression softened. And because I've already watched one Omega die because of me. I wasn't about to let it happen again. Before Ella could respond, a new sound reached them. Howls. But different. Organized. Coming from the north. Reinforcements, Jareth groaned. Please tell me those are ours. A familiar voice echoed through the catacombs. Dane burst into the chamber in wolf form, followed by a dozen palace guards. His eyes found Ella, then Jareth, then the blood. What the hell happened here? Long story, Ella said weakly. Is Liam right behind me? Dane shifted back, quickly pulling on clothes. He's securing the upper levels. When he sensed the attack through the bond, he shook his head. I've never seen him move so fast. We made the 3-day journey in one. He sensed it. Ella's eyes widened. Through the bond. You completed it, Jareth said quietly. When you used your Omega power. When you connected with him across that distance. You didn't just reach out, you bonded. Fully. Ella pressed a hand to her chest and felt it. The bond. Not a whisper anymore, but a song. Footsteps pounded through the corridor, and then Liam was there, human, blood-splattered, wild-eyed, and Ella was in his arms before she could take a breath. You're alive, he gasped, crushing her against him. Moon goddess, you're alive. I'm alive. She buried her face in his neck, breathing him in. I'm okay. You're naked and covered in blood. Not my blood. He pulled back just enough to look at her, and what Ella saw in his eyes made her heart stop. Not just relief. Not just love. But pride. You fought them, he said, his voice filled with awe. You used your power. You survived. I had help. She glanced at Jareth, who was being tended to by the guards. He protected me. Saved me. Liam's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Then I owe him a debt. You owe him his life, Jareth called out, wincing as a guard wrapped his shoulder. I'm calling it in now. Full pardon. Restoration of my title. And maybe a nice estate somewhere warm. We'll discuss it. Liam turned back to Ella, his hands framing her face. But first, he kissed her. Not gentle, not careful, but claiming, fierce. The kiss of a man who'd thought he'd lost everything and just got it back. The bond between them exploded into full, brilliant life. Ella gasped against his mouth as she felt it, truly felt it for the first time. Not just awareness. Not just attraction. But completion. Like two halves of a whole finally joining. Mine, Liam's wolf growled through the bond. Ours, her wolf answered. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ella realized the chamber had gone silent. Every guard was staring. Not with fear. Not with disgust. But with something like reverence. The Alpha King and his Omega, one of them whispered. The prophecy. To hell with the prophecy, Liam said, his voice ringing through the chamber. We make our own fate. Starting now. He pulled off his cloak and wrapped it around Ella, then lifted her into his arms. Let's go home. They returned to the palace at dawn. The mob was gone, dispersed by news of the rogue attack, by stories of the Omega who'd commanded an army with her voice alone. The council was waiting in the throne room. Liam set Ella down gently, but kept her hand firmly in his as they walked through the massive doors together. Elder Marcus stood at the center, his expression carefully neutral. Your Majesty, he began. You've heard that my mate single-handedly defeated 20 rogues using Omega power you all claimed was too dangerous to exist, Liam interrupted, his voice cold. You've heard that she's stronger, smarter, and braver than any of you gave her credit for. And you've heard that I will not allow this council to threaten her again. Silence. Then Elder Vera stepped forward. The council recognizes the bond between the Alpha King and his Omega mate, she said clearly, and moves to repeal the Omega Purge Law. All in favor. One by one, hands went up. Even Marcus's. The motion passes, Vera said, and she smiled at Ella. Welcome home, Luna. Ella's knees nearly buckled. Luna. Queen. Maid of the Alpha King. Liam pulled her close, and she felt him trembling with barely suppressed emotion. We did it, he whispered. We won. No, Ella said softly, looking up at him. We survived. Together. What's the difference? Everything. And as the court erupted in applause, as the pack held their acceptance outside, Ella finally let herself believe it. She was home. She was safe. She was loved. And the prophecy? The one that said she'd destroy his throne? Maybe it wasn't about destruction at all. Maybe it was about building something better. Together. 6 months later. The garden had become Ella's favorite place. Not the formal palace gardens with their manicured hedges and marble fountains, though those were beautiful. But the wild garden on the eastern edge of the grounds, where flowers grew in untamed profusion and ancient oak trees provided shade from the summer sun. This was where she came to think, to breathe, to remember the girl she'd been and marvel at the woman she'd become. There you are. Ella looked up from the book she'd been pretending to read and smiled as Liam emerged from the tree line. He'd been in meetings all morning, council business that now included her input, though she still found it surreal to sit at that long table and have elders twice her age listen to her opinions. Here I am, she agreed, setting the book aside. He settled beside her on the blanket she'd spread beneath her favorite oak, immediately pulling her against his side. The bond hummed contentedly between them, no longer the desperate, frantic thing it had been during those dark days, but something warm and steady. Like a heartbeat. Like home. How were the meetings? She asked, resting her head on his shoulder. Tedious. Marcus is still pushing for stronger border defenses. Vera wants to redirect funds to education programs for young Omegas. Wait. Ella sat up straighter. Young Omegas? Plural. Liam's smile was soft. Word has spread. About you. About what happened. And wolves who've been hiding their entire lives are finally coming forward. 3 so far. A girl in the Western Territories, barely 15. A boy in the South. And an elder in the East who's been living alone in the mountains for 40 years. Tears pricked Ella's eyes. They're not hiding anymore. Because of you. His hand cupped her face. Because you showed them it was possible to be both Omega and safe. Both powerful and protected. We showed them, she corrected. I couldn't have done any of it without you. You could have. His voice was fierce. You're the strongest person I've ever known, Ella. You survived things that would have broken most wolves. And you came out of it with your kindness intact. Your compassion. Your hope. You make me sound like a saint. You make me sound like one every time you talk about me to the council. He grinned. Dane told me what you said yesterday. About my unwavering commitment to justice and my deep respect for all wolves regardless of classification. Ella felt her cheeks heat. You do have those qualities. I also have a temper like winter fire and a tendency to threaten people who disagree with me. Minor flaws, says my completely biased maid. She laughed, the sound bright and free. 6 months ago, she couldn't have imagined laughing like this. Couldn't have imagined feeling this light, this safe, this happy. Speaking of mates, Liam said, his tone shifting to something more serious. Mara came by this morning. Ella's stomach fluttered. And she says you're ready. The words hung in the air between them. Ready. For weeks now, Ella had been working with Mara, learning to control her Omega abilities. Learning to shift without pain, to extend her consciousness without exhausting herself, to command without forcing. But there was one thing she hadn't done yet. One final step in claiming her place as Luna. The marking ceremony. Are you sure? Ella's voice was barely a whisper. What if something goes wrong? What if? Nothing will go wrong. Liam's hands settled on her shoulders, steady and sure. But if you're not ready, we can wait. We have time, Ella. We have all the time in the world. I am ready. And as she said it, she realized it was true. I'm ready to be yours. Completely. Officially. You've been mine since the first morning you walked into my chambers. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. But I would be honored to make it official. When? The full moon. 3 days from now. His eyes gleamed gold. We'll do it properly. The whole pack as witnesses. A feast. Dancing. Everything you deserve. I don't need all that. I do. His voice dropped to something raw. I need everyone to see. To know. That you're mine and I'm yours and nothing will ever come between us again. Ella's throat tightened with emotion. Okay. She kissed him softly. 3 days. The full moon. And then you'll be Luna in truth. He pulled her closer. My mate. My queen. My everything. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The palace staff descended into organized chaos, decorations to hang, food to prepare, guests to accommodate. Wolves traveled from across the kingdom to witness the ceremony, camping in the fields beyond the palace walls. Ella spent most of her time with Mara, going over the ceremony details and practicing the ancient words she'd need to speak. "You'll feel the pull," Mara explained as they sat in Ella's chambers, their chambers now, hers and Liam's, filled with both of their scents and belongings. "When he marks you, the bond will complete fully. You'll be able to sense his emotions as clearly as your own. Share his strength. His wolf will recognize yours as equal, as partner." "Will it hurt?" Ella asked. "The bite?" Mara smiled. "Yes, but it's a good pain. The kind that reminds you you're alive." "That's not reassuring." "It's not meant to be." Mara's expression grew serious. "Being Luna isn't easy, Ella. There will be challenges ahead. Wolves who still don't trust Omegas. Threats from outside the kingdom. The weight of responsibility." "I know, but you won't face any of it alone." Mara took her hand. "You have your mate, your pack, and you have me. All the Omegas who are finally stepping into the light. We're a family now. And we protect our own." Ella squeezed her hand, gratitude overwhelming her. "Thank you. For everything. I wouldn't have survived without you." "You would have." Mara's smile was knowing. "You're stronger than you think. You always have been." The night of the full moon arrived clear and bright. Ella stood in her chambers, staring at her reflection. She wore a gown of white silk that flowed like water, embroidered with silver thread in patterns of wolves and moons. Her dark hair was loose around her shoulders, held back from her face by a circlet of silver leaves. She looked like a Luna. But more importantly, she felt like one. "Nervous?" Dane appeared in the doorway, dressed in formal attire, his expression warm. "Terrified," Ella admitted. "Good. That means you care." He offered his arm. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." They walked through the palace corridors, and Ella could hear the crowd gathered in the great courtyard, hundreds of wolves, all waiting to witness this moment. When they emerged into the moonlight, the crowd fell silent. Liam stood at the center, beside the ancient stone altar where Alpha Kings had been crowned for generations. He wore black and gold, his hair tied back, his expression fierce with barely contained emotion. Their eyes met across the distance, and the bond flared. "Beautiful," his voice whispered through their connection. "You're so beautiful." "So are you," she answered. Dane led her forward, and with each step, Ella felt herself shedding the last remnants of the frightened girl she'd been. The maid who'd hidden in corners and made herself small. That girl was gone. In her place was a woman who'd fought rogues, defied councils, and claimed her place in the world. A Luna. Dane placed her hand in Liam's and stepped back. "The pack is gathered," Elder Vera's voice rang out. "The moon is full, and the Alpha King has chosen his mate. Does anyone challenge this bond?" Silence. Then, from the back of the crowd, "We accept." The cry was taken up by others, spreading through the gathered wolves like wildfire. "We accept. We accept." Ella's eyes burned with tears. "Then let the ceremony begin," Vera said. Liam took both of Ella's hands, his voice steady and sure as he spoke the ancient words. "By blood and bone, by moon and star, I claim you as my mate, my equal, my partner in all things. From this day until my last breath, you are mine and I am yours." Ella's turn. Her voice shook slightly, but grew stronger with each word. "By blood and bone, by moon and star, I accept your claim. I give you my strength, my heart, my wolf. From this day until my last breath, I am yours and you are mine." The bond between them blazed like the sun. Liam's eyes flashed gold, his wolf rising to the surface, and he leaned down. "This will hurt," he whispered against her neck. "I know," she whispered back. "Do it." His teeth sank into the junction of her neck and shoulder, the traditional marking spot, and Ella gasped. Pain lanced through her, bright and sharp. But beneath the pain was something else. Completion. She felt Liam's wolf recognize hers, felt the bond snap into place like a key turning in a lock, felt his strength pour into her as hers poured into him. They were no longer two separate beings. They were one. When Liam pulled back, his eyes were glowing, and blood stained his lips. "My Luna," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "My Alpha," she answered. And the crowd erupted. Howls filled the night, hundreds of wolves shifting and singing to the moon, celebrating the bond that would reshape their kingdom. Liam kissed her, deep and claiming, and Ella kissed him back with everything she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you," he said. "More than my throne. More than my life. More than anything in this world or the next. I love you too." She smiled through her tears. "And I'm never leaving you again. Promise?" "Promise." The celebration lasted until dawn. There was food and music and dancing. Ella was passed from partner to partner: Dane, who spun her until she was dizzy; Vera, who taught her the traditional Luna's dance; even Jareth, who'd been pardoned and restored to his title, though he kept to the edges of the gathering. "Congratulations," he said when it was his turn. "You did the impossible. You made my cousin smile." "He smiles plenty," Ella protested. "Not like this." Jareth's expression was wistful. "Not like someone who's finally found home." "What about you?" Ella asked gently. "Have you found yours?" "Working on it." He glanced across the courtyard to where a young Omega stood, one of the three who'd come forward, watching the festivities with wide eyes. "Slowly. But working on it." "Good." When the sun finally rose, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Liam swept Ella into his arms. "Time to go," he announced. "Where?" "You'll see." He carried her through the palace, past guards who bowed, past servants who smiled, until they reached the eastern tower, the highest point in the entire compound. The view was breathtaking. The entire kingdom spread out before them, bathed in early morning light. Fields and forests, rivers and mountains, all the way to the horizon. "This is your kingdom now," Liam said softly. "Ours. And we're going to make it better. We're going to make it a place where Omegas don't have to hide. Where power doesn't mean cruelty. Where every wolf, regardless of classification, can live without fear." "That's a big promise," Ella said. "Good thing we have a lifetime to keep it." He set her down gently, but kept his arms around her. "I meant what I said during the ceremony. You're my equal in all things. Which means you're not just my Luna. You're my partner. My co-ruler. Every decision, every law, every choice, we make them together. Even when we disagree? Especially then." His smile was soft. "You make me better, Ella. You always have. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." "You already do. Liar. Truth teller." She rose on her toes and kissed him. "Now stop being noble and take your Luna to bed. I've been up all night and I'm exhausted." His laugh was warm and real. "As you command." 1 year later, Ella stood in the same wild garden where this chapter of her life had truly begun, watching as 3 young Omega children played under Mara's watchful eye. The Omega Sanctuary program had grown beyond anyone's expectations. 50 Omegas now lived in the kingdom, with more arriving every week. They had their own wing of the palace, their own teachers, their own community. And none of them had to hide anymore. Luna, one of the children, a girl named Lily with white blonde hair, ran up to her. "Look what I can do." She closed her eyes, concentrating, and her Omega power rippled out like a wave. The flowers around them bloomed instantly, responding to her gift. "That's wonderful, Lily," Ella said, crouching down. "You're getting so strong. Will I be as strong as you someday?" "Stronger," Ella promised. "Because you're learning young. You don't have to spend years hiding what you are." "Because you changed the world," Lily said matter-of-factly. "We changed the world," Ella corrected. "All of us. Together." Strong arms wrapped around her from behind, and she felt Liam's chin rest on her shoulder. "There's my beautiful mate," he murmured. "Inspiring the next generation again?" Someone has to. How's our newest project coming? Ella's hand moved to her stomach, to the barely there swell that only Liam knew about. Growing, she said softly. Mara says we'll know the classification in another month. Boy or girl, Omega or Alpha, doesn't matter. His hand covered hers. They'll be loved, protected, free to be whoever they want to be. Like their parents should have been. Like their parents are, he corrected. Ella turned in his arms, looking up at the wolf who'd been her salvation and her partner, her challenge and her champion. Do you ever regret it? She asked. Choosing me over peace? Over an easier path? Every day, he said, and her heart stuttered. Then he smiled. I regret that it took me so long to choose you. I regret the 6 years I wasted. I regret every moment I made you feel invisible. His hand cupped her face. But choosing you? Loving you? That's the only choice I've ever made that I know was absolutely right. Even though I destroyed your throne? You didn't destroy it. His smile was soft. You remade it into something better. Into something worth protecting. Ella kissed him, pouring everything she felt into that kiss. Gratitude and love and hope for the future they were building together. When they pulled apart, Lily was giggling. Gross, she announced. But also romantic. When you're older, Ella told her, you'll understand. When I'm older, I'm going to be Luna too, Lily declared. Just like you. Then you better study hard, Liam said seriously. Being Luna is the hardest job in the kingdom. But the most important, Ella added. Because someone has to protect the wolves who can't protect themselves. Someone has to speak for those who don't have a voice. Someone has to be brave when everyone else is afraid. Like you were, Lily said. Like we all can be. Ella looked out across the garden, at the sanctuary, at the kingdom beyond. When we choose courage over fear. When we choose love over hate. When we choose to stand together instead of hiding alone. Liam pulled her closer, and through the bond, she felt his pride. His love. His certainty that they'd made the right choice. All those months ago, when he'd gone searching for his missing maid, he'd expected to find a runaway servant. Instead, he'd found his destiny. And she'd found hers. Not in the prophecy that said she'd destroy his throne, but in the reality they'd built together, a kingdom where every wolf, Omega or Alpha, had a place, had value, had hope. What are you thinking? Liam asked. That the prophecy was right, Ella said softly. I did destroy your throne, Ella, but only so we could build something better in its place. She smiled up at him. A throne built on love instead of fear, on unity instead of division, on the belief that every wolf deserves to live without hiding. Our throne, Liam corrected. Our throne, she agreed. And as the sun climbed higher, as the children played and the kingdom thrived and their child grew inside her, Ella finally understood the truth. She hadn't been meant to destroy the Alpha King. She'd been meant to save him. To show him that strength wasn't cold distance, but warm connection. That power wasn't control, but compassion. That a true king didn't rule through fear. He ruled through love. And together, the Winter King and his Omega Luna, they would build a kingdom worthy of the wolves who called it home. A kingdom where no one had to hide. Where everyone belonged. Where love was stronger than any prophecy. Wow. What a journey, right? From a hidden maid to a powerful Luna who changed an entire kingdom. From an Alpha King too afraid to love to a man who risked everything for his mate. This is what true love looks like. Messy, scary, beautiful, and absolutely worth fighting for. Thank you so much for being here with me through every twist, every tear, every triumph. If this story touched your heart, please drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. I read every single one and they make my day. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button because we have so many more epic love stories coming your way. Remember, you are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and you deserve a love that sees you, truly sees you, and chooses you anyway. Until next time, beautiful souls, keep howling at that moon.